And we are live. Hello and welcome everyone to another exciting set from the King of Ireland tournament. Today we are looking at Paradox 303 against Karabas in the King of Ireland Gold. In terms of seeding, these players are neck and neck. They've been calculated at about 1530, average ELO between highest ever and current. Their highest ever and current are also quite close. So we should expect this set to be extremely competitive. Karabas is a Ukrainian player active in the AoE Russian community, and Paradox 303 is a Scottish Age of Empires player who is famous for his love of Nomad. In terms of Civ Draft, Karabas has selected the Mayans, Aztecs, Celts, Sicilians, Magyars, Khmer, Bohemians, and Berbers, and Paradox 303, aka 303, has selected the Ethiopians, Britons, Bulgarians, Franks, Japanese, Cumans, Malians, and Mongols. However, Karabas has sniped the Franks randomly from Paradox 303, which is actually some pretty good luck, and Paradox 303 intentionally sniping the Mayans from Karabas. The first game of every set is Irish Arabia, so let's get started. In the northwest corner of the map, playing as the red Cumans, we have Paradox 303. And in the southern corner of the map, playing as the blue Aztecs, we have Karabas. Cumans are an excellent choice for Irish Arabia because of their mobility. Irish Arabia is different from other Arabias in that there are generally more woodlines assigned to players. However, those woodlines are thinner. This makes the walling easier early game, but due to how open the map is, scouts are still quite powerful. Karabas has the opportunity to wall to the edge of the map and protect some of his back wood lines. His scouting has determined that he has these back wood lines available if he walls to the edge of the map. Deer are generally closer on Irish Arabia, and sheep are generally further away, at least the secondary sheep. It'll be interesting to see if Paradox completes this circuit and finds his sheep in the corner here. We do sometimes have sets where players won't even find all their sheep because of how far away they are. However, Paradox does find them. So we'll have to keep an eye on how many Paradox ultimately puts on wood. How many a player puts on wood is a good indication of whether or not they will be going scouts. Most scouts builds entail putting 3 on wood. Anything else is 4. After that, you have to look to their gold to figure out what they're going to do, or their uptime. So we see Karabas putting 4 on wood, which tells us that he is not planning on going scouts, which makes sense because Aztecs do not get scouts. Still 3 on wood for Paradox, and this villager is headed out toward the berries. So I think we could safely assume that Paradox is going to go scouts. The question is, will Paradox's scouts build be fast enough to penetrate Karabas's walls? This map is easy to wall. It is recommended that you do wall. Sometimes if you wall, players can get into the false sense of security from walling, thinking, well, I have all the resources I need, I'm okay, I don't need to push out across the map. And other players will punish it. We've seen that before. We've also seen some hyper-aggression on this map, people actually drushing. You can get in with a 2 militia drush, sometimes maybe even a 3 militia drush, depending on how many villagers your opponent commits to walling. This deer lure is unfortunately gone wrong for Karabas. He's going to have to try again. In terms of town center idle time, both these players are about where we would expect for the gold division, with Karabas at only 1 second and Paradox 303 at 6. Paradox getting his first deer pushed in. Does Paradox know where his opponent is? No. Does Karabas know where Paradox is? No. Both players are still pushing their deer, so they don't know where the other player is. Alright, are we going to see Paradox move out across the map now? Looking for Karabas. It looks like it. Yeah, he's turned out. Looking for his opponent. Hunting maybe in this corner of the map over here. Karabas is down here. And Paradox has only pushed in one of his deer. He's getting loom now at 20 pop. So this tells me that Paradox intends to go 20 pop scouts. Force drop off, and then quick up. There we go. So 20 pop scouts from Paradox, 8 seconds of town center idle time. Ooh, Karabas with a little bit more idle time here. He must have gotten housed or something. And he is getting loom. Karabas is at 21 pop. He is building a forward barracks, so we could see man-at-arms play from Karabas. He is also building a mining camp. So this is probably 22 pop man-at-arms from Karabas, although he's at 21 pop, so I guess it's a 21 pop man-at-arms. Karabas chasing off the scout. So Paradox has found his opponent. Let's take a look at Paradox's vision. Paradox has scouted this early barracks, so he knows that there could be some early aggression. 2 villagers on gold confirms man-at-arms. Perhaps Aztecs can do man-at-arms at 1 fewer population because of their economy bonus of villagers carrying +3. Barracks coming down for Paradox. It's a little bit late, so he will be somewhat delayed on the scouts. His investment in walling has also required a lot of wood, so he will not quite have the wood necessary to build a stable. There is a hole here. Let's see if this eagle harasses any of these villagers. Oh, it looks like these villagers were thinking about harassing the eagle. As Paradox fights him off. So Paradox now looking for relics and for neutral resources. Stable coming up for Paradox now. His opponent has reached the feudal age and is researching man-at-arms. We have 4 militia for Karabas, so it's a pretty big investment. He's going to have to make sure that he can get in with these units, but Paradox is not fully walled yet. And this could be quite devastating. So you can fight men-at-arms with scouts, but you need to have at least equal numbers, and you need good micro. These man-at-arms are going to slip in through this unbuilt house foundation. Paradox has to withdraw. Has Paradox seen the man-at-arms yet? We don't... Yeah, he probably did. He could have seen it through the vision of this palisade. And he is walling behind, so he is taking this very seriously. And he wants to wall up here as well. To prevent the man-at-arms from slipping through and getting on his wood line. So Karabas has found this gate. Gates have no armor as they are being built, so they are very easy to destroy. But... oh no! Disaster for Paradox as he lets the man-at-arms through. He'll have to abandon this wood line for a quick wallet. And some 10 center idle time being forced down for Paradox as he deals with all of this. Quick gate and palisade wall. That gate is going to go down to the man-at-arms. And these man-at-arms are going to be in on this wood line. Paradox is going to lose 1 villager and maybe even a second on that lumber camp. He is making scouts, however. He has 5 scouts available to fight this off. 5 scouts can fight these man-at-arms, but unfortunately 2 villagers have gone down for Paradox. So he is definitely behind. And this is exactly what an Aztec player wants to do to the Cuman player as Paradox micros around. Looks like he had the opportunity to take the hill, did not want to take it. And this villager forced off of the deer. So what's Paradox waiting for? Maybe he wants to lure the man-at-arms into the town center arrow fire. Maybe deciding to head out across the map and do damage to his opponent, but his opponent is fully walled. His opponent did not wall to the edge of the map, however, so if Paradox went archers, he would be able to range every woodline controlled by Karabas. Villagers under pressure. On the berries, Paradox is not able to quick wall this in time, and Karabas getting enormous value from the man-at-arms. I feel that pushing out across the map is a mistake. All that he's going to find are spearmen and walls. He should use his scouts to clear up these man-at-arms at home. But just hoping that Karabas here will make a mistake. He has built an archery range, and he has an archer now ranging these man-at-arms. The scouts are going to fight the man-at-arms now. Still at only 2 villagers down, though. Paradox now going on gold to replenish what was lost building the archer. I don't think Paradox intended to make archers. These man-at-arms are now diving the town center, and Paradox will have to clean this up. So a great amount of disruption in Paradox's base. Karabas is 4 man-at-arms doing massive amounts of damage, killing 2 villagers, and idling Paradox's economy. Paradox still not fully walled. He's built a couple skirmishers for those pikemen that he saw, or rather spearmen. And now headed out across the map looking for damage. However, it is way too late to get into Karabas' base. Karabas is fully walled. However, Paradox could hope for an overchop to slip in and pick off some villagers that way. And that's probably why he's pressing across the map now. He does not know where Karabas is taking wood, so he does not know the situation of Karabas' wood line. Karabas has a crap ton of villagers on gold. He's got 15 on gold. So what's the plan from Karabas? Is he just buying food to click up to the next stage? And Paradox has found the wood line now. All he needs to do is wait. So if Karabas is not careful, these scouts can slip in and pick off a villager or 2. Paradox, as the Cumans, is electing to build a second town center on his stone. So we'll see how the 2 TC play works out for Paradox. His opponent is going to be Castle Age much sooner, though. Paradox is nowhere near, and is 7 villagers behind because of all the idle time and the 2 kills. So Paradox building the second town center to try to catch up in villager count. His opponent may not be too far behind in terms of villagers, even after he reaches the Castle Age. And these spearmen flee to their deaths. No, there is a hole here. Okay, that is useful information for Paradox. He will go and patch that after seeing it. So Karabas will be Castle Age in approximately 40 seconds. He is building a blacksmith, and he has 3 barracks up. Has Paradox scouted it? No. Paradox only knows of the 1 barracks, so Paradox does not know of Karabas' eagle switch. Eagles are going to be very hard for Cumans to deal with. They can, of course, make knights, and knights can trade well with eagles for equal resources. And indeed, Paradox is in on these villagers now. There was an overchop. 1 villager goes down, and Karabas will probably lose this second villager here. Nope. Paradox bailing just before doinking that lady. Karabas is Castle Age now. Paradox should be quite worried. Paradox will come around and find this gold. He will not be able to escape here. Karabas cheekily walling in these scouts, but they slip past the gate. So, the good news for Paradox is he got information from this raid as well. In addition to killing a villager, he sees the 3 barracks now, and he sees all of the eagles. So Paradox is going to know that eagles are on the way. These are eagle warriors now, too. They are much stronger than eagle scouts. And Paradox content to accept this information and prepare a defense. Already planning a double wall here. Cuman palisade walls have more health. However, Cumans do not get stone walls, so that is no replacement. Paradox clicks outside, finds this hole, or is just building this from the outside for some reason. These eagles are about to be all over Paradox, though. And these eagles are going to get in. This is going to be GG. Karabas not finding this hole over here, though. Paradox is going to wall behind. He barely doesn't do it because of these foundations. The Eagles are in. These Eagles have 5 Pierce Armor, and Paradox is in the Feudal Age. So each Town Center arrow does exactly 1 damage to these Eagles, and they have 55 health. And archers with fletching only do 1 damage as well. Paradox attempts to quick wall to stay in this. He does have a villager advantage for now, but most of his economy is idle, and it cannot all hide in these town centers. He has 45 villagers total, and he has garrison space for 30. So Karabas simply diving this town center. And will take it down with Eagles alone. Paradox calls the GG after recognizing the situation. Well played from both players. Do not mean to sound critical. Both players would absolutely wreck me on this map. However, I would say this. Drush or Man-at-Arms into Fast Castle could be a viable strategy from the Aztecs, especially if you don't see archers behind it. So Paradox choosing to go 2TC was the wrong play here. He needed to get up to Castle Age to have the technology to deal with Castle Age units. It may not have been so bad had Karabas gone archers, but Karabas went Eagles instead, which I think is the play against Cumans, who are highly incentivized to go to heavy cavalry and Kipchaks. Although Cumans still get fully upgradable champions as far as I know, so they can deal with these Eagles, but Paradox was just not there. So GG, well played. It all comes down to that Man-at-Arms rush dealing massive damage to Paradox, setting him behind, and he could never really catch up from that. So the next map is going to be Paradox's home map of Irish Nomad. Let's go take a look. Okay, we are loading the game now. For Irish Nomad, it looks like Karabas is going to be Bohemians, and Paradox is going to be Mongols. And this is, again, a Socotra-sized Irish Nomad, the smallest possible magnification. In the blue, we have Karabas playing as the Bohemians, and in the red, we have Paradox303 playing as the Mongols. So a very tight, cramped, probably going to be lots of castle drops this game. Karabas not wasting any time putting down his town center. Neither is Paradox. So similar town center placement for them. Paradox is close to some berries. Karabas is probably got a little bit better of a wood chopping situation because the wood is in the front of his town center, whereas Paradox is in the back. Although this wood line is probably about an equal distance. Irish Nomad, you start with a transport ship. Karabas has found his, and he is exploring, looking for Paradox's dock. Just barely misses it, decides to go this way instead of that way. And Paradox has not found his transport ship yet. He is building a house. You start with plus 50 wood on Irish Nomad, so you can afford a town center, a dock, a house, and a fishing ship immediately. So we will probably see Paradox queue up a fishing ship any moment now. Paradox, known for his love of Nomad. Still no fishing ship in queue for Paradox. Karabas is building his dock down here behind his town center. So Paradox has queued villagers, but he has not queued the fishing ship yet. Karabas already has his fishing ship in queue, so maybe Paradox intends to use that wood for something else. He's collecting wood now, and Paradox has queued his fishing ship. So let's take a look at vision, because this is always an important part of a Nomad map. Karabas does not know where Paradox is. Does Paradox know where Karabas is? Paradox bringing in a boar. Boars are an excellent source of food on Nomad. They help you click up to the next stage faster. Boar meat collects very quickly. Okay, so Paradox has scouted a house from Karabas here. But a house is hardly indication of Karabas' civilization. It could be a house that's next to a dock, or it could be a house that's next to a town center, or it could just be a random house that is built for vision later. You simply don't know. So Paradox is going to know, however, that his sheep disappeared over here. So this will tell him that there is something over here capable of capturing sheep, either a dock or a town center, or a villager. So Mongols versus Bohemians. We've seen a lot of Bohemian play on Irish Nomad. Fast castle into castle drop into those Hussite wagons is quite popular for Bohemians. What can Mongols do about that? Mongols love their ranged units. Mongols love Mangadai, but the thing is that even though Mangadai have very powerful damage output, those rolling shoeboxes have a ton of pierce armor. They will be able to mitigate the damage from Mangadai. So Mangadai not really viable in this matchup, in my opinion. Karabas is scouting with a villager. What's he looking for? This looks like a hunter. This looks like a villager who was interested in bringing in a boar that isn't there anymore. So he's just going to come back to his town. So maybe assuming that Paradox is up here somewhere, taking boar. Just barely misses Paradox's town center, which could be both good luck and bad luck in the sense that the villager wasn't fired upon, but bad luck in the sense that he doesn't quite know where Paradox is yet. He's building a house on this lumber camp to give himself some vision to see if Paradox takes wood here. And he is laming the deer. Or he is just killing the deer and is just going to bring a little bit of meat back for the trouble. Okay, so Karabas has found Paradox's dock. The transport ship only has one vision, but it's in the right place, so we know that Karabas can see. And I'm wondering if this transport ship is being used to block these fishing ships, to make Paradox's fishing eco less efficient. If so, that would be a really creative use of the transport ship, one which I did not consider. So Karabas with 2 fish so far, building a 3rd fishing ship, and Paradox already has 4. So we can tell that Paradox is more heavily invested in fishing economy than Karabas, and we'll see if it pays off for him. Does Paradox know where Karabas is yet as he brings in his 2nd boar? Nope. He still has the same amount of information. However, he scouted pretty much everywhere else on the map. He scouted all throughout up here with his sheep and cows, so the only areas of the map that he's missing information on are down here or over here. So he knows where Karabas is not, and that will make it much easier to find where Karabas is. How are we doing for Karabas' scouting information? Karabas' scouting information is not quite as good as Paradox's, but he does explicitly know where Paradox's dock is. Has Paradox found his transport ship? Yes, Paradox has found his transport ship. Will be on the move somewhere, or perhaps he deleted it. Yeah, Paradox deleted his transport ship. That's kind of funny. Deciding it's not worth the pop space. He already has all the information he needs. This also tells me that Paradox may be not planning on getting the relics this game. He's planning on going straight for his opponent, straight for the kill. So Paradox is... looks like a few villagers ahead of Karabas. Karabas with 34 seconds of town center idle time, and Paradox with 11. And Paradox is on his way up to the feudal age. He is slightly ahead of Karabas. He is going up on 27 villagers, which would be equivalent to 28 pop if he still had the transport ship. And Karabas is going up at 26 pop, with 25 of that being villagers. So Paradox is going to mill this deer. This mill will also be a prerequisite building for a market Paradox wishes to FC. He has some on wood, he's got some on gold, and this is telling us that Paradox is planning for a castle drop. As an experienced Nomad player, Paradox will have a good build order. He'll know the ideal number of villagers to put on different amounts of resources to be able to click up quickly. Paradox building houses for vision. He has built an outpost to keep an eye on this area to see if Karabas comes over this way or this way. So this outpost is basically between the two darkened sections of the map. So either way, Paradox will know. He may actually already know. He reaches the feudal age. We'll see a feudal age building and blacksmith coming up immediately for Paradox. And we need to see a market here for Paradox, but he doesn't quite have the wood for it. Karabas building a blacksmith as well as the Bohemians. It is cheaper for him to build a blacksmith and a market as the Bohemians. However, Karabas' food count is not looking close to clicking up. So Paradox getting Town Watch. If he were Byzantines, he would get that for free. Town Watch. So Paradox is still investing in outposts. So we can tell that Paradox does not quite know where Karabas is, but wants to find out. Alright, so he finds out, and he does not need to finish that outpost. But he'll still build one over here anyway, just for vision. So Paradox finishes his market and clicks up to the next stage. He has 4 on stone so far. So it looks about right to finish, to get enough stone for a castle. Paradox is going to build this outpost here and finish taking this deer, and he wants to see where all of Karabas' resources are. So he has a very firm handle on where Karabas is. Fully defined, he knows his market is over here, he's got a couple houses, he's got a blacksmith. So this is telling Paradox that Karabas is going fast castle, but this should not be a surprise to Paradox, since fast castle is somewhat the meta for Bohemians on this map. Karabas walling in the stone miners. Wants to make sure that he keeps these stone miners safe as he goes up to the castle age. Wants to be able to afford that castle himself. And we see that we're going to have a race in castle drops. Karabas coming out to the stone now. Paradox is going to see that. All things considered, this is the smallest generation of Irish nomad, and it can lead to some pretty messy games. Karabas with a little bit of market use, selling some food to get some gold, and I think he bought some stone. So Paradox is Castle Age first. Karabas will be Castle Age in about 20 seconds, less than that. And Paradox committing to a castle drop on Karabas' town center. So Karabas sees it, garrisons the town center, but there's not much he can do here. So Karabas is going to counter castle. He deletes the house, and I don't know that I agree with that. This castle is going to definitely go up, and it may even deny this castle here. I don't think Karabas has the time to build this. No. He is going to have to bail. Loses 1, 2, and Karabas calls the GG. So in this case, if you're Karabas, you need to build your castle right here, or here, and then build your town center and wall up. If Karabas could have gotten his castle up, he could have countered the Mangudai very decisively. Paradox was already getting fletching to improve the range and attack of his buildings and Mangudai. But this counter castle here is what cost Karabas this game. A very decisive win on Nomad by Paradox. So now we'll go to the next game in the set. Terra. So the winner of Terra is going to be declared the winner of this set, and they will go on to the quarterfinals. Karabas got the first win, Paradox got the second. So for those that do not know, Terra is based off of the Hill of Terra. It is considered the most hallowed site in all of Ireland. Karabas getting double bit axe immediately. And what did Paradox spend his resources on? I guess just queuing up villagers and building a building somewhere. So Paradox is making a stable. Paradox is playing as the Red Britons, and Karabas is playing as the Blue Magyars. Scouts seem to be the meta on this map. Its wide open spaces allow you to get to your opponent faster if you're making scouts. And scouts are better at killing these hostile Gaia monks. So I was talking about Terra, though. I was going to say that Terra has these monks in the center, down here, and about 20 to 30 relics. In this case, there are 28 relics. It's not a set number. And there is stone in the middle as well. We've already got a spearman coming across the map for Karabas. So this spearman is going to reinforce his scout rush, and Karabas finding out the hard way about these monks.
Presto, salve. Ain, impero, salve.
So these monks are no joke. They will make it so that you must invest in order to get these relics. The meta that I envisioned when I created this map was for players to do feudal aggression, go fast castle, what have you, depending on how close they were to their opponent, whether or not their opponent was on the other side of the monks or whether or not their opponent was on the other side of the stone. Build a town center on the stone, maybe build castles on the stone. Castle drop the stone ultimately to secure it, sell stone to get gold, and then sort of castle drop these monks and push their way inward. That was the meta that I expected. Players, of course, come up with their own strategies, and some have been very entertaining to watch on this map. Each of the trees, like Irish Nomad for this map, contain 350 wood, so there's actually a lot more wood than meets the eye. Paradox has some spearmen on control. He made a stable, and Paradox has 3 scouts, so he is indeed going to scout rush his opponent. Another important feature for the map that we must mention is that the map has a gold drain. If you do not control a queen, which you won't because you can't make one and I didn't give you one starting out, you will lose gold equivalent to a rate of 3 relics. We see that reflected in Paradox's negative gold count, and yet he has 0 on gold here. So Karabas also with 0 on gold. Both players have simply decided, I'm not going to make gold units. So neither player will be clicking up to the Castle Age anytime soon. So you have to get 3 relics in order to cancel out that gold drain. And your gold dries up very quickly because of that on this map. So Paradox redeploying some of his spearmen. Karabas here with scouts. Both players with 2 on gold now. 2 on gold is not going to be enough. You need at least 3 to equal out, and preferably 4 to get ahead. So we now have scouts in Paradox's base. He has picked off one of Karabas' villagers, and big fight here. Karabas needs to pay attention, otherwise he's going to lose scouts to spearmen. He is forcing Paradox off of the stone, though. Is he going to get another villager pick? This looks good for Karabas. No, he bails on it. He lets her live. Magyars with that extra attack can take down villagers faster. So I don't understand the Britain's pick on this map. Anybody could let me know, that would be great. It could be that in the late game, Paradox intends, I have negative gold. Is that normal? Yes. Map specific. Yes. Paradox realizing he has negative gold now. Needs to take gold. There's a gold drain, and now he is paying attention to it. So maybe Paradox was thinking, I'll make a lot of long-ranged archers, and I'll kill these monks in the middle who are outranged by the archers, and then I'll get the relics and I'll pull ahead. This is Karabas' home map, though, so this tells me he has a plan. He is still on 1 stable. He is getting the armor and wheelbarrow now. He is adding another stable, though, so we're going to see 2 stable scouts from Karabas. Paradox walling up here. Wants to prevent Karabas from getting in on any juicy villager picks. So far, the advantage has been to Paradox, although he has more town center idle time than Karabas. So Karabas still is even with him in villagers, and big fight here. Karabas losing a bunch of scouts, Paradox losing all of his spearmen, but now Paradox is fully walled. At least it looks that way. So Terra, obviously, an Empire War start, and the triple mining camps here to try to get efficient mining camps. It is not easy when you're scripting in Empire Wars to get an efficient mining camp. Berries were a little bit easier, but not much. And Karabas is on the prowl looking for an overmine, but that's going to be tricky because these gold mines... This gold mine actually has only 1 gold here. So if Paradox mined this real quick, then Karabas would be able to get in. So Karabas with a forward archery range. Paradox is going castle. So Karabas getting the gold mining upgrade now. Wants to help mitigate that gold drain. Does Paradox know about this forward range? I don't think he does. Magyars are the only civilization... No, he does not. Magyars are the only civilization that get fully upgraded Arbalisters and fully upgraded Paladins. So Paradox has a nice little box here that he's walled himself into. Most of his resources are outside and his gold is rather forward, so this could be a big problem for Paradox. He's already prepping some ranged units though, making archers. So Karabas trying to get in, but Paradox walling behind it. He has Spearmen inside just in case Karabas does get in. And I think that this is on a hill. I think this is in. Okay, Paradox sees it and walls here now. Spearman slips outside. So this range still hasn't gone up yet for Karabas. What is taking so long? The foundation placed. Paradox is Castle Age. And Karabas chasing off the scout. Did that scout... No, okay. The villager is here now. Unfortunately for Karabas, Paradox is going to scout that. DI sees it, pulls around, regroups, says, what do I do? These ranged units could be very dangerous if they were on Paradox's gold, so he's going to need to get his archers out quickly. Paradox getting crossbowmen and bodkin now. These crossbowmen will have 8 range in the Castle Age. Paradox walling here. Paradox at 48 villagers to Karabas' 50. But Karabas is advancing to the Castle Age, so this will surely buy Paradox more time. Paradox building another mining camp. As though having 3 mining camps on your gold was not enough. And that is a lot of scouts. Paradox should know, I need to get pikemen immediately. Karabas should have absolutely fought this, I think. I know he didn't want to, but now Paradox is going to get pikemen. And he has a ton of scouts. Maybe Karabas is waiting to get light cav upgrade.
Mandatum.
Ready. Yay.
Paradox with some pretty good vision now. What's Paradox going to do? Is he going to go after the monks?
Yay.
For these archers?
Yay.
The monks will outrange these archers.
Ready. Yay.
Paradox getting out of there.
Yay.
Losing an archer to a conversion. So Paradox coming to Karabas' base to deal some damage. I suppose it makes sense if your opponent is still in Feudal Age. But this is a lot of scouts here. And Karabas is getting the light cav upgrade now. So Paradox is going to need an answer to all of those. He absolutely needs pikemen. He has built another barracks, it looks like. Or, no, that is his first barracks. Never mind. Deleting the mining camp and building another... Okay, building another town center on the gold. So Paradox looking for some damage with these Briton archers. We'll see if he finds any. Karabas is fully walled, however. I think. Nope, the archers get in. The archers get in, they're going to get some bill kills. Karabas moving across the map with his light cav now. Paradox going to try to do a 3-town center boom. The good news is for Paradox is that he has 51 villagers and garrison space for 45. So this is never ideal, but he's still making spearmen. I don't think Paradox takes this mob of light cav seriously. The military is 34 to 20. That is a lot of scouts. Karabas has 28 light cav, and he's making more. He has 5 skirmishers now, and these archers are going to get absolutely mobbed by the scouts. Paradox should know, I need to take this seriously. I need another barracks. Is he building one? He is, and he needs to get pikemen immediately. Neither player has really made an attempt toward the neutral stone. Both of them have large enough armies to where it would be punished heavily. Paradox's archers going down for the light cav. Light cav have the same pierce armor as knights, so they're very cost effective in that regard. So we have another barracks for Paradox. Coming down, he has 3 spearmen in this one, no spearmen in this one just yet. And what is Paradox making? He's getting forging now. He should be getting the armor. The +1 attack that you get from forging is negligible compared to the bonus damage that pikemen or spearmen get against light cav. This is an insane amount of light cav, 35 light cav. This is very bad for Paradox. Forcing down a watchtower, Paradox is going to lose a lot of villagers over here. He is 10 villagers ahead for now, so that will help him. Pikemen coming out. Karabas has skirms here, though. There's just too much. There's too much in Paradox's base. Karabas mobbing him with light cav and skirmishers. Paradox getting the armor now. Will TCs go down to light cav? There's no siege here from Karabas. So perhaps Paradox is encouraged by that. He's accumulating pikemen in his barracks. Paradox has nothing on gold now. His gold is being drained. He's going to need to build another stone wall behind this tower. Paradox laughing. He knows he's in a rough spot. There's just so many light cav. Magyar light cav too with free attack. All those pikemen getting cleaned up. Both players are at 60 villagers, but a third of Paradox's eco is idled. He has 4 crossbows, he's got 3 pikemen, and he has 6 more in queue somewhere. He needs a mangonel to clear up these skirmishers. These scouts are going down to town center arrow fire though, one by one. Pikemen are going to try to get in on these light cav. Skirmishers are killing them instead. I guess some of them get through. Okay, Paradox did wall behind this. Pikemen did clean up these scouts finally, but there's a ton of damage here. Karabas has finally added a ram. Karabas hyper-aggressive, for sure, on this map. Definitely had a plan. Magyar light cav and skirmishers. Just not making gold units.
Ready.
Paradox needs to repair this town center and then hop back inside. But the ram is working on it. Cannot repair faster than the ram, really. There's so many light cav here. Karabas with 17 light cav and 19 more in queue. And Paradox calls the GG and says good luck next. What a fun matchup, though. It looked like Paradox was going to make a comeback here with his archers. Was poised to get a lot of kills, but did not take that mob of light cav seriously. It was a really big investment. Said, I'll make pikemen later to defend from it. But when half of his economy, or a third of his economy, was idled, he couldn't keep up with unit production. He was taken off of gold, ultimately, and could not make the mangonels he would have needed to deal with these skirmishers. So Paradox definitely had the tools that he needed, and he was in a position to win earlier. But unfortunately, I'm just getting caught by surprise from all of these light cav. We've got at least 3 stables from Karabas here of light cav production. So GG, well played to both players. Super grateful that they signed up for this tournament. These maps are hard. They're weird. There's no doubt about it. Paradox caught off guard by the gold drain. So it's not easy. And we have huge respect for Paradox and Karabas for signing up for the tournament. Unfortunately, we have to say farewell to Paradox. But he does have a lot of other tournaments going on at the moment. Definitely recommend that you check them out. And we are going to congratulate Karabas for moving forward in this tournament. We are excited to see what he comes up with in subsequent rounds. So we are going to give the final win here to Karabas and say GG. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Hopefully you were entertained as I was. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.